Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, today I want to talk about Boku no Hero chapter 172. I know I'm a little late on this one, guys. I left for a couple of days, but we're going to talk about it now. I don't expect that this review will take that long. But to start off with, the majority of the chapter centers around the continued plans to create this singing and dancing event for the cultural festival. Of course, Jiro can sing, Tokoyami strutting in there with the ability to go ham on the guitar. I have no idea about the joke about the F chord or whatever. Somebody who knows music can maybe explain this to me. The fact that Mineta could not play the guitar because of his character design was so well placed. Like, taking a moment to read that and thinking about it, it kind of makes you wonder if Horikoshi wasn't toying with the idea of Mineta going ham on the guitar, but found it just wasn't, reasonable because of how small he was. Which is honestly hilarious to me. Horikoshi off in his office trying to draw Mineta, giving him a smaller and smaller guitar before realizing this just isn't gonna work. You can see him pouting off in the corner like, screw this cultural festival. Oh, by the way, potentially, would you be interested in dancing if you had a harem? Okay, yes, I'm definitely looking forward to this. But yeah, this is all pretty typical things. I think something that is more enjoyed when read and doesn't really require a lot of discussion to delve into why it was enjoyable. But in regards to this chapter, what has me most intrigued is obviously what happened at the very end, and it seems as though Deku is on the verge of obtaining his next power-up. It's honestly really surprising to me how quickly that he's gaining these. I think Boku no Hero, typically speaking, is a bit faster paced than other stories that I'm used to reading weekly, such as One Piece. But I don't think that it's a problem at all. I don't think it detracts in any way. In fact, I'm enjoying it. It really feels like we're getting somewhere. But to follow the power-up breakdown that Horikoshi himself gave us from this last chapter, obviously when he first got the power, it was pretty much use 100% of your ability or none and break your entire body. Then he learned to use 100% from just one area of his body. Then he could control the percent of power that actually came out, again, from one place. He then could control the percentage throughout his entire body. That created 5% cow. And when his arms were essentially shot and he needed to move on to his legs, he created the shoot style. And as of the last, 30 chapters, he's been up from 5% to 8% and now to 20%. But as hinted at before and explained in this last chapter, 20% does not come with some risk. Deku cannot use it for very long, and I didn't know this, but I guess it's true that after a certain period of time using 20%, his body basically just shuts down. So basically, Deku came to the conclusion that while 20% is more powerful, it's not particularly viable to use in any fight that would really matter. But All Might had a solution. If you can't maintain 20% for very long, then don't try to. Use the power in bursts. So basically, Deku could be an 8% cow the entire fight, but for brief moments in the fight, like for instance if he was going for a powerful long distance kick, he could switch to 20%. Which could potentially deal devastating damage, and not force him to rely on 20% for more than just, like I said, a few moments. This is a clear upgrade. Now, of course, it would be ideal if Deku could just, solo with 20% all the time, but it doesn't work that way. But at the very least, he can still use 20% on a consistent basis. This is huge. And it is not just limited to the creation of long-distance attacks. Remember, if you can create 20% for a brief moment, you could do a lot of things. This can also be used for close-range attacks. Specifically, you could move faster to get closer to your enemy, or get faster to potentially escape an attack which might defeat you, or at the very least allow you to oscillate or change the speed that you're moving at to make you harder to predict, for your opponent to have a lot more difficulty reading where you will be and what you will do and how fast you will do it every single time. And I also think that this technique has implications for the long term of the story. Deku will obviously have more power-ups as he continues to improve to reach 100%. It makes you wonder. It was basically confirmed that All Might used this same technique in order to improve his skills. He didn't start off being able to access 100%. It also makes you wonder, for how long did All Might only have the ability to use 100% in small bursts, in small periods of time? And by using this amount of power consistently, in a very applicable way, would that help Deku, and did that help All Might slowly upgrade as their body got used to this strain? I really get the feeling that Deku might be on an express train to 100%. If what he needs more than anything else is to improve his body in order to be able to sustain the impacts delivered with one for all, then I can't think of a more perfect way to train it than to put your body at its limits for small periods of times consistently. But it seems like the biggest hurdle that Deku has for now to be able to use this consistently is to have greater control over the power itself. Deku needs to simultaneously be able to maintain full cal while being able to change the percent output to his maximum levels for brief periods of time. And interestingly enough, I already actually have a theory on this. We talked previously about maybe it's the next thing that Deku needs is better control over his power in a first reaction several weeks ago. And I speculated that possibly this dance routine or whatever, Horikoshi could use this as a way to help Deku sort of like train his body or use it as some kind of inspiration for using his powers. Because dance itself requires a finesse, a fine use of your body and control over it. And we've already reached the first hurdle of this theory, which is that yes, control is the next step for Deku. So now Deku just needs to obtain this amount of control. And finally guys, at the end of this chapter, we learned that Eri had finally arrived to UA with Mirio. And so guys, I'm really curious as to where this is all going. I'm finding these chapters to be incredibly enjoyable, if not perhaps the most hype things ever. They're extremely funny. As always, I am curious to hear what you thought about this chapter. If you may have noticed something from this chapter that I might have missed, just share your thoughts. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always guys, have a wonderful day.